Story 1. Steal as much money as I can. Money is really the only issue I face at the moment, so yeah. But this is actually really interesting to me because, as other people pointed out, there are various problems with trying to steal money one way or another, i.e., assuming only your body is invisible, then you're going to need to be naked, and if you try to steal money out of a bank, then you've got the problem of just money floating around. Same applies to walking into a casino and stealing chips, or Fort Knox and gold, etc. So, what's the best way to do this? I posit that as long as you're okay with being an evil to random people, one way might be to just follow people around as they go to the bank and watch over their shoulder to get their pens or other personal information. Presumably, you would want to try and follow rich people around, so do this in an affluent area. Similarly, you could try to sneak into a financial institution and look for ways to skim a few mil from some investment account somewhere and transfer it to an account you have control of. Aside from the over-the-shoulder type of theft, I guess another alternative would be to try to sell your services to someone and get them to pay you for corporate or government espionage for a day. Other than that, I'm really out of ideas. I think in the end, a single man with no tools or anything is fairly limited in the number of ways he can successfully steal and get away with a lot of money. Story 2. Steal a police car. Use it to lead the cops on a multi-state high-speed chase, sirens and lights blazing. Make bizarre apocalyptic pronouncements over the police radio about the imminent rapture. Pull up in front of a news station and the car is empty. That would be fun. Possibly lucrative as well if I gave it some more thought and played it right. Story 3. Don't care so much about the 24 hours. However, when I know the time is almost up, I would go to a public place with cameras and everything. I'd make sure to be and then when the time is up, I will fade into existence. I'd start going on about time travel and aliens and different dimensions. The appearance, captured on camera and seen by so many civilians, would keep my story from being contested. I could change the world. Story 4. Randomly push over pedestrians and make it look like a bystander did it. I want to drive a car into a police car and run away giggling like an idiot. And finally, I want to walk into the Pawn Stars shop and just keep saying, "Do you guys have Battletoads?" over and over. Story 5. After I steal my piles of money, my time would be spent just trying to drive one guy insane. Just keep with him, whispering shit in his ears and moving stuff around and only doing it when he's around. Just follow him for hours until he thinks you're the devil and agrees to do your bidding and kill whoever you tell him, and then just wait for the 24 hours to end so you appear right in front of him and just say, "Haha, got you, I was just an invisible guy this whole time and you're not crazy," and then leave and never contact him ever again. Story 6. I would just haunt somebody. Not necessarily anybody I know or dislike, but somebody is getting spooked for those 23 hours and 45 minutes. The other 15 are to get out of there before I become visible again, which is necessary because I wouldn't be able to see my feet. I am a clumsy man. Story 7. I would screw around with the Ghost Hunters TV show crew. Here's how I'd do it. Slams doors right in their faces. Throw their cameras around, whisper jokes about their moms into their ears, flip tables they were sitting at. I'd follow each one of them around and ask them each, "Hey, what are you guys looking for?" Or, "What are you guys doing here?" And finally, I would hitch a ride with them as they left and sing parts of random songs that came on the radio, and get mad if they turn off the radio. Story 8. I would go through my regular day. I wouldn't even be or anything. If my clothes are visible, that will make things easier for my roommates, but I think they would be able to deal with it for a day. If it's one of those yuck your yum invisibility where I am blind, then I think I'd be able to find my way to the bathroom and I'd pee toward the bathtub and do the rest as usual. I can get to the kitchen well enough, but feeding myself would be a mess. I can definitely get the bread and some cheese, so I wouldn't be hungry. Boredom would certainly set in. I can't navigate my computer without my sight, so I guess it would be a TV day and it would be whatever streaming service I landed on. For science, I have navigated to the kitchen blindfolded and have gotten bread and peanut butter from their cabinet and a butter knife from a drawer. It was a little touch and go, but peanut butter sandwiches are possible. Story 9. Go to work with my partner and sit on his lap all day while he works. He'll know I'm there and it's me, but no one else would be able to see me. I can just imagine him going to a meeting, me curling up on his lap and the whole team oblivious. I'd hold his hand when he walked around at work, and only we would know about it. It would also have the advantage that he knew where I was, because if you had an accident while invisible, you could bleed to death and no one would know. After work, we could go to a movie theater and watch a movie together. He'll know I'm there, but no one else will. There would be no point going to a dinner, as people would see food moving and get freaked out. But in a movie theater, they'll just hear me eat popcorn and think it's him. A bowling alley would be fun too, because I could stand near the pins and knock them over when my partner bowls. We could set it up so he gets straight strikes. Same with a mini golf course. Or a real golf course, he could hit holes in one that were me running with the ball above my head, or even throwing it as no one would see me. Then going to bed later would be memorable. Story 10. Assuming that whatever magic is making me invisible could also make me scentless, and that I could keep myself very, very quiet, I'd go to some place to observe wildlife. I know, it would still be a bit risky because you could get trampled by larger animals who didn't see you to avoid you, and plenty of animals can attack by feel. It's why they have whiskers after all. But it would still allow you to get closer and observe them without disturbing them in the same way as real life. Otherwise, I have no desire to do anything sneaky or criminal like some of the other answers. Peeping Toms and voyeurs already have hidden cameras and telescopes, and thieves already have plenty of methods to steal without relying on invisibility. It's not the fact that people can see me that keeps me from doing those things, but that I have no desire to do them in the first place. But a chance to see wild animals up close? Count me in. Story 11. It depends. Does it mean your clothes are invisible too, or do you have to be naked when you're invisible? Because a naked invisible man is a cold, naked invisible man. And what happens when you touch something or pick it up? Does it become invisible too, or does it look like it's flying around the room when you carry it? There needs to be some ground rules about invisibility, such that we have to know if our clothes and things we touch become invisible, and if that's the case, does our feet touching the floor make the floor invisible? And if so, how much? All the way to the cellar or just the subflooring? Also, if things are thrown on me, like flour or something, will it become invisible or will it stick and show an impression of me? Am I silent as well as invisible? Can my steps be heard? My breathing? If I speak, does it make sound? Can I turn it on or off at will, or am I just invisible till the clock runs out? If I take a piss or shit, is my waste invisible in the toilet as well, or does it become visible when it leaves me? What about my breath when it's cold out? If thermal sights are used, will I be seen? Does my invisible body give off a heat signature? Does it have weight that will set off weight sensors? What are the rules? Because if I'm going to be invisible, then I am going to do all kinds of nasty deeds. That's the only thing invisibility is good for. It's not a heroic superpower. It's an evil superpower where you use it to spy on people and watch women undress, or you trip powerful people and make them fall and hurt people you don't like and steal small, valuable things from stores and homes. It's not a proud power. It's a power of pain and vindictiveness and blackmail. Story 12. Go live in the White House. I ate all the sushi before it went bad. Find a kitten, keep it in the White House, and treat it like royalty. Gather cans of whipped cream and spray them into my mouth whilst reminiscing about where it all went wrong. Raid all the gun shops and shoot in the air whilst taking awesome selfies. Cry. A lot. Take drugs. A lot. Eat donuts. A lot. Travel to all places. Impose national holidays such as National No School Day and Puppy Appreciation Day. Steal the fanciest wine in the world and take small sips whilst pretending to be fancy. Always wear a monocle. Leave tons of messages to aliens detailing what happened on Earth. I am studying electrical engineering, so I can get power in my area to work again. Play with robots. Pretend to break into and steal from people's houses. Make lots and lots of things go boom. Attempt to make test tube babies. Probably fail miserably. Continue eating whipped cream. Throw gold into the ocean, just because I can. Grab a pile of preserved human eggs, a bunch of preserved human sperm, a paper, a metal case, and a gun. I write on the paper, "Revive us if you have the technology," in every language I can find, then put the stuff I bought in the metal case. I take my final spray of whipped cream, eat another piece of sushi I've been saving for this moment, and shoot myself. It was a life well lived. Story 13. Slap random people. Scream at people. Grab backpacks and swing people around. Throw things at people. Pants people. Yes, girls too. Sorry girls out there, you'd probably do the same for guys. Drive teachers insane. Put hot sauce in people's lunches. The naughtiest thing I could do would be going into the girls' locker room. But full stop right there. That's just creepy. Story 14. It's a matter of whose perspective. I will certainly be tempted to play major practical jokes on 3 unnamed people who scared me regularly with their antics when they were young, and laugh at them as much as they laughed at me. It would probably be evil to them, but oh so satisfying to me. Story 15. Say your body becomes completely transparent and its refractive index matches that of air. Light will pass through you, and you will be invisible. However, your eyes need to block light in order to see. You are therefore now blind. Say you manage to make an invisibility cloak. It bends all light around you, so the person looking at you sees the light from objects behind you. Again, you're invisible, but that light is bent around you. Your eyes needed it so you could see. You are again effectively blind. Story 16. Gosh, this question created considerable internal conflict. On the one hand, my civic-minded side thinks I should head over to UC Berkeley or Stanford and let the scientists investigate the phenomenon. On the other hand, the commercial side of me thinks there must be a way to cash in on this. Can I set up a booking on Oprah that quickly? But the gripping hand has to prevail on this one. What I would do would be to call my older son and get him to meet me in a park to take his dog for a walk, and tape his reaction as he waits for me and sees his basset hound appear to float in the air and fly using his ears as wings. Story 17. I would go to my ex's house to see what he's up to and then travel to my long-distance partner's home to make sure he's not cheating on me, even though we both have agreed to be honest with each other about everything. Lastly, I would go to the home of a guy I fell in love with who turned out to be a scammer and see how I could really mess with his mind. My daughter is getting her dad's inheritance later this year. I would love to be able to push the paperwork through so she could have it right now. Story 18. I would go around literally robbing everyone and everything. I would pull people's pants down if they aren't already yet. I would run around the streets naked yelling body parts. You know what I mean. I would scare the shit out of everyone. I would try alcohol and cigarettes for the first time, currently underage. And last of all, but not least, somehow get to a doctor to get me checked out. It's not like I want to stay like this forever, you know. You can look now. After writing this, my little grin has left my face for good. Story 19. If I could become invisible, I could go down either a good path or a bad path. In this scenario, I am assuming that by being invisible, nothing can detect your presence via light, heat, UV, IR, etc. Also assuming that people can still feel physical contact. Good path. Earn money for charity by cheating the lottery, only once to avoid suspicion. Watch animals in the wild to note their behavior without human presence. Spy on North Korea. Scare the hell out of Kim Jong-un. Study this whole invisibility thing and apply it in other ways, stealth tech, etc. Bad path. Enter top secret locations and check out the cool stuff that is probably kept there. Mess with people's circuit breakers. Fill Kim Jong-un's bedroom with pigs and plant a camera to see his reaction. Shave Donald Trump's toupee during the night. Other very much bad stuff that would get you arrested. Story 21. Not all of these are legal, ethical, or in keeping with my character or desires. I'm just stating possibilities. Number 1. Go where I normally wouldn't be allowed to watch people acting if they didn't know I was there. This could span from being a creep and sitting in the women's dressing room at the gym, to sit in a closed session of a government body and find out the real reasons why they do what they do, to listen in on a therapy session, or worse, a confessional booth, and hear somebody's deepest, darkest secrets. Number 2. Go somewhere where I could steal identities. I used to work at a bank call center. If I could be invisible and could look over somebody's shoulder and find out which customer had the most money and what the customer's call-in credentials were, I could clean out their account. Number 3. Go somewhere that requires a ticket. If I'm invisible, no one would see me standing at the courtside watching the Warriors-Cavaliers game, or listening to Shinedown for free. Heck, no one would see me standing on the midfield stripe at Super Bowl 52 listening to Alex Smith calling the play for Washington to start the second quarter. Number 4. Creep people out in the snow. Where'd that snow angel come from? And why are there barefoot footprints? And who makes snow angels when they're undressed? Bad idea. Number 5. Travel the world. Board planes and go anywhere they fly. Hop a bus and see the roads. See all the wonders of the world. Visit the Holy Land. Sleep in the Lincoln bedroom. Go to Disney World. Story 22. I'd be tempted to do some pretty perverse things, I'm sure. I'd also be tempted to violate all kinds of civil rights in order to get actionable intel regarding some of our most troublesome criminals around here. I hope that the better part of me would prevail and not take that sort of advantage. And just thinking about how I could be useful and do the most good, it does occur to me that I might present myself to some government agency and ask if they could use me, but I wouldn't want to end up as a lab experiment or with my movements severely restricted. So, after careful consideration, here's my conclusion. I'd become the most successful magician ever. Signed, Miles the Magnificent. Story 23. I don't think having the power of invisibility will change my life majorly, because I'd barely even use it in the first place. I mean, it's not like I'm going around robbing banks, bayoneting babies, and burning buildings. That's not my cup of tea, even if I could get away with it. No going to Area 51 or one of those heavily guarded places as well, for two reasons. I'm incredibly lazy and there are motion sensors there. I'm 99% sure that if I somehow went anywhere near one of those heavily guarded places, the motion sensors would go off loudly like beep, 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 beep. I'll show you a presentation made by Paint, discouraging you from going there. Story 24. If I found an invisibility cloak, I would become riskier. I would spend time in places that are closed, free to roam, undetected. For instance, businesses after hours. Not to take things, but to be able to stay in places after they're closed, such as parks, museums, etc. My invisibility cloak, of course, would have charms that would allow me to pass through any security systems, motion detectors, etc. without triggering alarms. It would be amazing to have a solo tour of a museum and be able to spend as much time as I wanted to without being disturbed. I would also visit places that I would be too afraid to visit by myself visibly. I might visit streets or places that are deemed unsafe and are therefore riskier to walk down. I would have my own permanent backstage pass, and visibly go anywhere I wanted during concerts, plays, musicals, shows, etc. I might spy on certain people, though I would not be a peeping Tom waiting to see people in stages of undress. There are enough sites online to visit to see people should that desire arise. I would simply want to watch people and see what they do when they think no one is watching. Do they walk around the house in funky outfits? Do they wear aprons while cooking? Do they dance while folding laundry? What kinds of silly things do they do? I would try very hard, though, to make sure my presence went undetected. I don't want people to be unnecessarily afraid or to think that I am a ghost who's haunting them or a poltergeist or any other scary spirit. I would do unnoticed acts of kindness. I would embody the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny, probably Santa Claus as well. That would be a great gig. Free milk and cookies. Possibly a carrot or two to cleanse the palate. I might put money in the meters before meter maids come along. It would be fun to come up with new ways to spread joy invisibly. I'm sure I would do a lot of things if I could be invisible, and also not set off any alarm systems. If I think of them, I'll come back and add them.